Hey, in this episode, I'm going to clarify about the foundation of my manufactured home versus a cement block skirting. There is a difference. Stay tuned. I'm going to give you guys some insightful information and where to find information to help you figure out if you want a cement block skirting or a cement block foundation. And there's just a subtle difference between the two. Pay attention. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. I'm going to take you guys and share with you, try to clarify some information here, because there's been a misunderstanding over the other two videos I produced when I built the foundation or skirting for my manufactured home. To start with, when I built the foundation, I had to lay a footing for the house, and this is an important part of this presentation. I went online and I downloaded the manufactured home assembly code books for our state. Now, these are all following within the specific parameters that's legal within our state. And it differs from region to region, from community to community, and state to state. And it also depends a lot on your geology. Not only geography, but also geology. You got to pay attention to how cold does your climate get, how deep is your frost line, and also what are you going to be doing with that foundation. So the size of the footing makes a difference as to what are you going to use your foundation for. For my particular application, I personally wanted a cement block foundation on which my home would set securely on, because we do live in a seismic active area. We have the potential of a major 9.0 earthquake here. So we had to establish the manufactured home on a solid foundation and add a little bit more features. Now, there is a subtle difference between, for manufactured homes, there is a subtle difference between a cement block foundation and a cement block skirting. Now, according to the book that I'm referring to, and by the way, the first thing you do is download the book. The second thing you do is go down and acquire your permits from your local municipality to be able to assemble these. And then in each stage of your assembly, you can call in the inspectors. They'll inspect it and sign off like they did on my permits. That way, when everything is done, signed off, and passed, I can receive my certificate of occupancy, all of which I did and passed. But going back to the foundation versus, now this is where the clarification comes, the cement block skirting. My foundation footing, when I hand dug the whole trench out around the whole perimeter of the house, I had to make sure it was big enough to accommodate the size of footing I chose based upon the instructions from the book and the code established by the building code for our state and the international building code. So this particular foundation footing measures 12 inches wide, 6 inches deep, and it also has two rebar structures going through it to make it stronger. That is the code. And then I carefully mixed up all the bags of cement. I poured all the cement myself. My or my wife helped me a little bit with screeding out and leveling out the cement on the footing. And then right here on this corner, once the footing was dry, is where I started my cement block foundation. Now I want to point out, the footing is the same dimension for a manufactured home foundation as well as a manufactured home cement block skirting. It's the same size according to this book. Now, if you're going to backfill more than so many inches, like 2 to 3 cement blocks high, each cement block measures 8 inches, so 32 inches. If you're going to backfill and use that as a retaining foundation, retaining wall, that's when you need a wider footing. So you need to go up to an 18-inch footing by 6 inches thick around the perimeter of the base of your structure. That is the difference between the size of footing that you need, 18 inches versus 12 inches. 12 inches is suitable enough for just 3 stacks of cement block, and you can backfill it up to your first block or halfway up to your second block or even up past your second block, because you still stay within that lower range. And this is primarily for the reason so it gives it a good solid footing so it won't shift one way or the other when you have the pressure of the backfill going against it. You do not want your footing to change. It'll crack and cause your house to list like a ship on the ocean. Now, with my foundation that I built for my house, and what makes this a foundation and not a cement block skirting, is the addition of tie-down straps. We put tie-down straps every 4 feet around the perimeter, and then we backfilled them with Portland cement.
You can see everywhere it's wet in the seams. That's where a strap is, because that's where we backfilled with cement. And the cement, as it's drying out, the mortar between those blocks are leaching out the water, so it shows every place we have a backfill.
So the house is strapped down. Now with a cement block skirting, the house just floats on top or stays on top of that skirting, and the skirting is only for the sole purpose of just creating some aesthetics and also some support around your perimeter blocking for your mobile structure. I have extensive pure block pilings under the home, evenly spaced out under the 4 I-beams which support the 2 halves of the structure. I want to point out, you cannot tell where both halves meet, can you? No, it's just T1 siding, T111 siding. And when I put this house together, that's right, I did it by myself. I had no help to squeeze these 2 halves together and then marrying them up. I did it so carefully and very slowly and meticulously and make sure the whole structure was level. And then I got it so perfect that the T111, they fit so perfectly together, I did not need that end board, right? So now it's a little difficult to tell that this is even a manufactured home, especially when you get up close to it, because it has its eaves, it has its cement block foundation. So that's the difference between a foundation and a cement block skirting. Cement block skirting can look just like this, with the exception of we're omitting the tie-down straps which secure the structure to the foundation. Yeah. And a cement block skirting does not have those straps. All it has is that fascia board, and it's caulked in the middle, so it just keeps the creatures out. And that's exactly what I did, but adding the tie-down straps, those plates that secure this to the foundation, so hopefully the house won't rock off the foundation in the event of a major earthquake. Now I'm going to take you under the house and show you what I did under there. Now the center where the two halves join together is called the marriage line, and here I have 3 pier blocks with an extra spacer block on top with some wedges that's to be able to level the unit out. The I-beams have 2 blocks that support them on top of those 6-inch deep footings, and then they have some wedges and a top board on which they rest on. I went ahead and I put all the cement block structures here, these pier blocks. I spaced them out, and I started my spacing from the center of the structure and worked 5 foot on center going out each direction. That way, by the time I got to the end, I left, there was the space for the perimeter foundation, which is the perimeter support for a manufactured home. So I don't come up with the oddball spacing on the end when people start at one end and do 5 foot on center spacing going down the center. So you end up with a shorter pier block at the end. So I figured if I start at the middle and work my way out, it still comes out even. And I was able also to save on material doing it that way. We were required to put a thick mill poly tarpaulin vapor barrier underneath the house to prevent moisture from getting in and damaging the underside of the house. Also, with your foundation, you also want to add venting. You need so much square inch of venting for so much square feet of house. You got to pay attention to that. And I get to try my new headlamp under the house here. And these lights. Now I chose these decorative blocks up here for the vents, and what I did is I went ahead and used some of the mortar, and I mortared in bug screen behind that, so it's a wire bug screen behind there that doesn't allow bugs through, but it allows air to go back and forth. So what I did down here is I just took one of these cinder blocks and I flipped it over on its side, and I was able to secure the dryer vent in one space and create a little hatch hole cover here with a knob on it. And I put my water shutoff valve on the inside of that, so I can just pull that, reach in, and turn my water off. That goes to the water main of the house, so it makes it really easy. And then over here on this other one, I just mortared in one of the holes of the cement block, and I left an opening, but I screened it for the line set for my air conditioning system. Also, I had to leave enough head space to meet code for underneath of the house, from the surface of your ground where your tarp is to the bottom of your I-beam rails. You need a specific amount of space, head space between those two, so a body can crawl around. I can sit up comfortably under here. It makes it really convenient, and I can do some work under here if I need to get under, because we're getting ready to do some projects in the house, so I'm going to need to climb under the house to be able to get those done. Well, that's it on reviewing the foundation and clarifying the difference in my 2 videos that I had created, one versus foundation, the other one versus skirting. Both are correct. A foundation for a manufactured home versus a skirting, it's the same size of footing. The only difference between the two that makes it different from a skirting versus a footing is the tie-down straps. That's what I found in this code book. And then also, if you're going to use the your foundation, you can't use a cement skirting wall as a retainer wall. It has to be a foundation, so you need that bigger footing block, 18 inches by 6 inches. And so, of course, skirting, foundation, footing is the same, 12 inches wide and 6 inches high, and you have to have those rebar down there. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this clarifies and helps you. For those of you who are tuning into this, who are wanting to put their manufactured home together themselves like I did, this kind of gives you an idea on what you're going to be facing and looking forward to. Don't forget to get your permits. Those are required. You have to have your permits and you have to have it inspected to make sure it's safe and it's done correct, because we're amateurs. We're not professionals. The inspectors were professionals. They know what's going on. And if you need to ask questions, don't ask me. I'm an amateur. Go ask a professional, or even ask your building people at the building permitting office. They're very helpful. And there is also downloadable material from the internet you could download. Look at the building codes in your jurisdiction. My building codes don't necessarily match what yours is. Like I said, you got to pay attention to geography and geology for the type and depth of foundation you're going to need to be placed. Some foundations are really deep because your ground freezes really deep, so you really got to pay attention to those. Here in the Cascade Ranges of southwestern Oregon, we got pretty much just a moderate climate. Our frost line is probably only 30, I think I read is 3 inches deep. Not that deep at all. Well, I hope I was able to offer some more clarity with the difference between a cement block foundation to a cement block skirting for a manufactured home structure. Yes, there is a subtle difference between the two. One of them is no straps, no anchors. That is just a cement block skirting. To qualify as a cement block foundation, straps like I covered in the video, and also depending on how high your cement block foundation is and how much backfill you're going to put on there will determine how wide your footing needs to be for your foundation. Well, I'm Jerry Hansen, your host. This is Pine Meadows Hobby Farm in the Homestead Building Project series, covering the foundation of my manufactured home, which we sited on this ranch. $10,000 house, built the foundation myself, sold a fancy toy or an antique toy to accumulate the rest of the money to be able to buy the rest of the material to build my foundation. Check out that video. I'll leave a link down below and also at the end of this show. Oh, please share my videos on your social media platforms. It really helps grow my channel. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to be buying manufactured homes and are looking for what type of foundation versus skirting to put under their home. It's their decision, and again, I stress, pay attention to your geology and your geography. Not everyone is the same, and also be sure you get your permits and be sure you consult with your local building authorities. Be safe, always be kind. I'll see you guys in my next show. Bye-bye now.